Hello, you little charmers. We're the Smiths. How do you do?
They're the most important, intelligent, most idiosyncratically English and most sorely missed pop band of the 1980s. If you don't agree with that, you probably think they're the most miserable acts of the era. Each to their own. The Smiths produced 4 studio albums in as many years, crammed with 16 hit singles. Their music made you laugh, cry and think, and they left an indelible mark on a generation before taking a bow in 1987, leaving behind an exquisite corpse of words, images and sounds.
They were it. They were as big and as important as the Jam and the Sex Pistols and the Beatles.
You try to pass on good things to your kids, and a good thing to pass on is the Smiths' music and what they stood for.
There's a lot of guff, romantic guff talked about rock and roll, but I do think that, the Smiths were a life-changing band. It certainly changed my life.
Tonight, a group which for the past few years has spoken in its songs for much of the intelligent, unblinkered youth of this country, the Smiths.
Streets are fun with things. He got to the house. I know what had before, and I'd like to help myself.
Though after the dust had settled, they emerged with one of the most important records of the decade.
They were quite rightly kind of heralded as the the Great White Hope sort of thing.
There seemed to be anger and there seemed to be hate, and there was also this bunker mentality that if the world won't listen, we can produce something that will really make everyone sit up and take notice.
The Queen is Dead, I think musically is one of the most powerful songs and has got a real sort of anger bubbling below the surface. For a certain section of people, a certain generation of people, that did have a real impact.
Few bands since the Smiths have so openly attacked the state, and their oppositional stance is still used as a stick to bash the powers that be, even if those powers profess to be fans themselves.
As someone who claims to be an avid fan of the Smiths, the Prime Minister will no doubt be rather upset this week to hear that both Morrissey and Johnny Marr have banned him from liking them.
David Cameron purports to be a Smiths fan, but I'm very sceptical that he actually ever was.
The Smiths are, of course, the archetypal student band. If he wins tomorrow night's vote, what songs does he think students will be listening to? Miserable Lie, I Don't Owe You Anything, or Heaven Knows I'm Miserable Now?
I expect that if I turned up, I probably wouldn't get this charming man. And if I went with the Foreign Secretary, it'd probably be William, it was really nothing.
The rain falls hard on a humdrum town. This town has dragged you down. Oh, the rain falls hard on a humdrum town. This town has dragged you down.
I remember being in some girl's college dorm when I was about 18 years old, something like that, and some girl I knew, friend of a friend, had like the great import collection. Boom. Hey, check out this record out. Goes like this, puts the needle, and it's How Soon Is Now by the Smiths. And I was like, what the fuck is that? I'd never heard anything like it. I knew the Smiths music, right? But that song, you go, wait a second. I mean, I'm sorry, that is the greatest marketing in the world. Because I was a Smiths fan from that day, boom, forward. No doubt, never a question. Bought every record, you know what I'm saying?
I'm the sun and the air of a shyness that is criminally vulgar. I am sun and air of nothing in particular.
The Smiths. Widely seen as the most important British band of the 80s, this Mancunian four-piece virtually reinvented pop music, breathing new life into a stale music scene and featuring the most charismatic frontman of their generation.
I think the Smiths shine out of the 1980s like a beacon. Just at the point where drum machines and synthesizers were killing real music, thank heaven the Smiths came along.
It didn't sound like Cream, or it didn't sound like the Rolling Stones, it didn't sound like the Beatles, it didn't sound like Buzzcocks.
I just loved the spirit of the noise I was hearing. I mean, the guitar, especially the Johnny Marr guitar, a great guitarist. And with me, a melody has always come first, and I just thought they had some great melodies.
About life and I think about death, and neither one particularly appeals to me.
The Smiths are humorous.
We had an accident with a pre-boss fire, but that's okay, because he wasn't very happy anyway. A poor woman strangled in her very own bed as she went, but that's okay, because she was old and she would have died anyway. Don't blame the good mother hooligan, because he'll never ever do it again. Oh, of course he won't. Nothing for the next time.
The Smiths are poppy when they want to be.
Panic on the streets of London, panic on the streets of Birmingham. I wonder to myself, could life ever be sane again? The lead side streets that you slip down, I wonder to myself.
But also very grim at times.
Oh, mother, I can feel the soil falling over my head. See, the sea wants to take me, the knife wants to slit me. Do you think you can help me?
And I think that maybe the more grim stuff might appeal to heavy metalers in a way.
A recent poll voted the Smiths the most influential British band of all time.
So I think that they're heavy in their own way. And I always say extreme music comes in all genres. They are an extreme band in the same way the Beatles were extreme or Queen was extreme. The Smiths should be held in that lofty position as well. Take, for instance, Death of a Disco Dancer. The drummer, he gradually builds up on that song, and by the end of the song, he's doing stuff that John Bonham would do. These guys, they're great musicians, which is a plus, obviously, you know. But then there's Morrissey. His style is original. His voice, when you hear Morrissey, you know it's him. That is the mark of success.
Worshipped by devoted fans for 20 years and hailed by his peers as a genius. He's the outspoken outsider of British pop, living in self-imposed exile without a record deal. Morrissey remains what he's always been, a true original and a complete mystery.
I just think that Morrissey's a genius. I think he's a genius songwriter.
Sing me to sleep, sing me to sleep, I'm tired.
And then you look at a song like Sing Me to Sleep. It's heart-crushing. It's a heart-crushing song, man.
They've got this daffodil-throwing singer who has big ideas in his head, and his lyrics are going to change the way we see the world.
Oscar Wilde put all his wit into his life. Morrissey, it seems to me, and I completely identify with Morrissey, has sat in a darkened room and been witty on paper.
There's certain feelings and ideas that he has, that he owns. He's an original of the species. There's not many of them.
Sleep on and dream of love, because it's the closest you will get to love.
The Smiths really took me aback because I've never really heard a vocalist who was, I guess, androgynous to a certain degree lyrically, be so honest, be so damn honest, and then so bleak too at the same time with this edge of humor.
And if you must go to work tomorrow, well, if I were you, I really wouldn't bother, for there are brighter sides to life, and I should know, because I see them very often.
He's without a doubt the most literate man ever to write music. You know, I used to piss myself laughing out loud on a bus going into town to buy The Enemy when he was on the cover as an interview. Laugh out loud, fucking side splitting. His lyrics are incredible.
I was delayed, I was waylaid, an emergency stop, I smelled the last 10 seconds of life. I crashed down on the crossbar, and the pain was enough to make you shout, oh, no disrespect and crime, a mass murder, who said I'd lied to her. So I walked into the palace, with a sponge and a rusty spanner, and she said, I only know you and you cannot sing. I said, that's nothing to hear me play.
The feedback is in, the jacket's not working. We need a brighter blazer, okay?
Brighter blazer.
Yeah.
All
It's
right.
too dark and foreboding.
It's not me, it's not me.
It's something Morrissey would wear.
Oh.
Are his lyrics foreboding? Are they depressing? Are they, what is it?
I think they're uplifting.
Yeah, that's good. I got a great idea. He has a very unique voice, I think, doesn't he? Morrissey, doesn't he?
Yeah,
have a
yeah.
unique...
The media have generally always referred to me as being miserable and morose and the Pope of Mope and things like that.
That's what I don't get. I don't get the miserable thing at all. I find them very funny.
Girlfriend in a coma, I know, it's serious.
Girlfriend's in a coma. When I heard it, I nearly crashed my car and ended up in a coma. He has that gift. That is not the mark of a miserable man. They're just miserable people that don't get the humour.
I was looking for a job and then I found a job, and heaven knows I'm miserable now in my life. Oh, why do I get valuable time to people who can't live by?
Here is somebody who is able to encapsulate a lot of very deep thought, gloss it with irony, and then repackage it with emotion.
A sad fact widely known, the most impassioned song to a lonely soul is so easily outgrown. But don't forget the songs that
whatever you put down in a lyric to define your love or hate for anyone, he'll do it one better. Because he's the best lyricist I've ever read.
Sneak into my room just to read my diary. It was just a thing to see all of the things that you knew I've written about. Many illustrations of I'm so very sickened. I am so sickened now.
And he's a beast live, man. He's all over the stage and he's fantastic.
I've seen him live a few times. He's one of the best.
Sweetness, I was only joking when I said I'd like to smash everything in your head. Sweetness, I was only joking.
I've seen him live recently, like last year in Australia. He's still one of the best.
Is one of the most accomplished, eccentric, and legendary musical artists of a generation. First gaining fame in the 1980s as the co-founder and frontman of the Smiths, Morrissey has had an iconic solo career that has spanned 4 decades. Today, he sits down for me for his first in-person, in-depth interview for maybe 10 years.
He is one of the only people in pop who has managed to turn themselves into a virtual mythological archetype.
The single worst person I have ever met.
I agree with Ron, Leslie. It's like Maz once said, hold on to your friends. Morrissey, the Smiths, you don't know meat is murder? It's one of the best songs ever written about industrialized beef consumption.
He can come over here and do a brief tour, and it's kind of like he flexes a muscle. You know, he has the crowd going absolutely bonkers. Business as usual in Morrissey land.
People treat it like almost like a religious experience. It's crazy.
Good evening. I'm here for the same reason as all of you, devotion to Morrissey. A person who can elevate the mundane and the vulnerable and make it seem truly heroic. And a person who, in spite of his reputation from those who live in the darkness of not understanding Morrissey, he is an incredibly humorous person. There aren't stars like Morrissey in the world anymore. I think that we are all honoured to live in the same time as him, at the same time as him in a way.
By your side is such a heavenly way tonight. Under the 10-ton truck. you just sit there. I've been stabbed in the back so many times. I don't have any skin, but that's just the way it goes.
Now 43 years old, one of the most iconic men in rock music has returned home for 2 rare London concerts. Despite no publicity, all 10,000 tickets are sold out within a few hours.
I was dancing when I was 12.
New York's Madison Square Gardens was sold out in a morning, faster than the Beatles, prompting a guest appearance from another legend he would later tour with.
Is it strange to dance so slowly? Is it strange to dance so slowly?
I always thought of the English singer-songwriter Morrissey as a sort of a sexual Alan Bennett, the British playwright. Because of his attention to detail, he'll take a small subject matter and make a very grandiose statement of it.
They know the words. It's incredible.
The hysteria goes back to his first tour of the States, when Morrissey broke box office records set by the likes of Madonna and Michael Jackson.
I think people now seeing concert footage or newsreel footage would be shocked. It was absolute pandemonium.
Mother's only son, and you're a desperate one. But I don't want to love.
Morrissey's songwriting partner was guitarist Johnny Marr.
I would go out tonight, but I haven't got a stitch to wear.
It was a magical chemistry. I always heard great sadness in his in these rolling chords and great beauty.
I'd like to drop my trousers to the world. I am a man of means, of slender means. Each household a fire.
But they obviously complemented each other to such an extent that they made, fucking hell, you know, the most unique music of their generation, probably fucking any generation.
I love the Smiths, and I think you look at a guy like Johnny Marr, great guitar player, insane guitar player, take a song like This Charming Man. That riff is not easy to play. Tough guitar line to learn.
In 1983, a 20-year-old Johnny Marr's reductive post-punk approach on This Charming Man harked back to a cleaner, more melodic era of guitar riffing.
Johnny Marr placed severe restrictions on himself. He wasn't allowed to look at heavy metal for inspiration. He wasn't allowed to look at classic rock. And it was the conflict, the battle between his innate ability and talent and these restrictions. And that's where the sparks come from.
Won't you mounted bicycle on a hillside desolate.
As for Johnny Marr, there's nothing he cannot do on a guitar. I've been in the studio with him. He's played on Oasis tracks and stuff. The man's a fucking wizard. But you cannot be influenced by Johnny Marr because he's unique, because you can't play what he plays. Even he can't play what he plays.
Would I like to see a Smiths reunion? You know, I'll leave that to them. I'm not going to get into their business, but, you know, if they did play New Orleans, I'd be there, for sure.
Take me out tonight, where there's music and there's people who are young and alive. Driving in your car, I never want to go home, because I haven't got one anymore. And if the double-decker bus crashes into us, to die by your side is such a heavenly way to die. And it's mental control kills the both of us. So what? To die by your side, well, the pleasure, the privilege is. Oh, there's a light, never goes out. There's a light, never goes out. And the 10-ton truck kills the both of us. To die by your side, the pleasure, the privilege is mine. Take me out tonight, or take me anywhere. I don't care, I don't care, I don't care. In the darkened underpass, I thought, oh God, my chance has come at last. But then a strange fear gripped me and I